Good morning, friends. Welcome to Brain Teaser Season 2, Episode 1. Welcome. Now, the Brain Teaser is in a new avatar, big avatar. Good morning, friends. Welcome once again. This is Season 2 for Brain Teasers, Episode 1. Let me take the proud privilege to introduce you all to the concept of Brain Teasers. Brain Teaser is an edutainment initiative which was introduced last year by Sarakshi Nethralaya. In the first season, it was a simple online quiz conducted on every Sunday with a weekly and monthly winners. The season ended in a high note with a mega quiz which was aired on 2nd of February. The USP of our quiz was it was based on clinical scenarios predominantly, and that's why it was picked up in a big way and taken in a big way. One minute. Yeah. The response and the feedback of our tiny effort was phenomenal. The open rate of our mailers was close to 9,000 plus, and nearly 1,500 to 2,000 actively participated in the quiz. Buoyed by the success and feedbacks from all of you, Brain Teaser is back again in a new avatar. So now, Brain Teasers would be a live online quiz to be conducted once a month on a web-based platform, and it would be done preferably on first Sunday of the month. Also, it's no longer just a quiz, but much more. To quench your thirst for knowledge, we have added new sections like Pearl of the Month and Wisdoms from the Heroes in Ophthalmology. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So naturally, to keep you entertained and to break the monotony, we have added trivia in the form of ophthalmic humor, shairi, and so on. Also, don't forget, we have big prizes at stake every month, courtesy Entod Pharma. For the today's show, we have Dr. Kuresh Maskati, past president, All India Ophthalmological Society and the quiz master for AIOS, and Dr. Partha Bishwas, chairman scientific committee, AIOS, as a special invitee. We welcome you, sir. For today's episode, we are really lucky and privileged to have my friend and a famous quiz master from Karnataka, Dr. Krishna Prasad, as a co-host. Welcome, Dr. Krishna Prasad. Now I request Dr. Krishna Prasad, my co-host, to take over the proceedings and to introduce us all the rules of the quiz and carry on with the section 1. Dr. KP, please.
So welcome everyone to this Brain Teaser, the edutainment from Sarakshi Nethralaya Nagpur. So I'm going to now tell you the rules of the game, and we all expect everyone to be ready with these rules so that you can probably play this every month on month. The rules are very simple. So who can participate in this? It's from womb to tomb policy. All ophthalmologists, be it the first year postgraduates to the practitioners of any age, everyone can probably take part in this. And every session, see, this is one session now. This we're going to have it every month, the first Sunday of every month. Each session will have 5 sections based on certain subspecialties of ophthalmology.
KP, your slides are not moving. Excuse me. Enable your editing. Slides. Your slideshow.
It's not moving?
No. We are not able to see.
Enable editing.
Enable editing. Reshare.
Okay. So we are going to have the
Sai, look into the matter.
reshare the slide and you enable the editing, which is
okay. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Full screen.
Is it moving now?
Correct.
Okay. So we restart again. Any ophthalmologist from a postgraduate, every age group practitioner can take part in this. So we have 5 sections based on different subspecialties, and each section will have 5 questions. So it's overall 25 questions in this session. Every question is an MCQ having 4 options, A, B, C, D. And this is an interface which has the format already having the options of A, B, C, D. You need to select the option on your screen and press the save button. So once you save, if you press the save button, your answer will be recorded. And if you change it later, if you probably press any other times, probably the first answer only that will be recorded. For example, let us start with a sample question. Like you can identify this character. It's Tom, A, B is Jerry, C is Donald, and none of the above. So we give you 20 seconds for this. So you can probably try this dry run. No prizes for this. Okay, so this is a cat and mouse game which we play. We play with the cataracts. No, so we are the Tom or the Jerry will come to know. So once 20 seconds are over, the answer will be, so you will get a screen like this. So you need to choose either A, B, or C, or D, and then press the save button. So this will be the participant screen. That is what you will be seeing from the questions that will be presented here afterwards. And the answer for this obviously is the Jerry. So with this, we come to the rest of the rules. How do we assess the winner for a particular question is the correct response. And obviously there'll be many who will be giving the correct response. The fastest finger first. We have a method to even pick up the millisecond difference. So person who has pressed it first, the interface, whichever the response reaches first will be recorded, so that we'll be able to distinguish who reached us first with the correct answer. And the winners, there'll be one winner for every section. Every section of subspecialty having 5 questions will have one winner. And we have every session will have 2 winners, the first and the second prize. That means the overall today's session will have 2 winners who will go with the big prizes. And only one person will qualify for the section, only one. Like if you have got a prize for one section, then obviously you will not be considered for the prizes in the second section, but you can be eligible for the big prize, that is the session prize. And obviously the judges and the host decision will be the final incomes of any. So we have big prizes waiting for you. So be ready with your bag and baggages to carry them home. So you have 5 section prizes, each carrying 1,500 of Amazon gift vouchers, which you can buy anything for. And we have the second prize having 5,000 rupees worth of gift vouchers. First mega prize for this particular session will be the 7,000. So you have not only just an acknowledgement at the global level as being the winners of this quiz, you can also have some money for the Sunday. So in case of a tiebreaker, if there are 2 people, which is an extremely rare situation to have 2 people pressing at the same time in the millisecond difference, if there is a tiebreaker, we'll freeze that result till the end of the show, and the cumulative performance in all the 5 sections will be considered for the session for that particular thing. And in case for a session prize, the overall prize, the first and second, if there's a tiebreaker, then obviously we have to look at the stroke of luck, a lot, and then we'll decide the winner. And we have to be very careful. All the winners are just not hiding away in their homes. You will actually come live. Once you win a prize for a particular section or a session, you will be invited live to come to this program at the end of the session, and we'll have an interview. We'll have a felicitation from our the invitees. So you'll be sent a Zoom link immediately to join this platform. And the section winners, once they win this particular section, they will be receiving a link through which they can come in. And the session winners at the end of the show who win the session, the first and second, please keep your registered mobile on. You will get a call from us so that you can join us. So it is not just purely a virtual thing. You are going to be here on the show live, so you can get dressed up very well immediately. If you don't have, if you're not wearing, you're not very presentable, so get ready. You may still come online here. And obviously the quiz masters, sponsors, the service providers, we are not responsible for any kind of glitches to network error, latency issues, server issues, delays, which are all beyond the scope of this particular resolution. So let us get started with the quiz. So all your fingers on your gadget, be it laptops or your mobiles. So we have a lot of prizes, a lot of fun, and a lot of entertainment with education. We are also going to discuss the answers so that there is some amount of education that goes along, just not having fun. So let's get started this great Sunday morning. So the section 1. So we have 5 questions in section 1. And the first question is a trivia, not purely ophthalmology, something ophthalmology linked to worldly affairs. So let us get started with this. Please watch this video. This is a very fantastic musical note we have taken from probably one of the most famous celebrated singer who has made a global phenomenon. Just look at this. The question is going to come. So this singer, we're not asking you who is the singer. He is suffering from which ocular disorder? A is congenital glaucoma, B is ocular hypertension, C is chronic angle closure glaucoma, and D is traumatic glaucoma. I guess I can give you a hint. Probably this looks like glaucoma. You can probably start where your 20 seconds is up. He is going to start ticking now. So is it A? This particular singer that you saw singing so beautifully is suffering from something like this ocular condition like congenital glaucoma, ocular hypertension, ACG, or traumatic. So your time is up. I think we're going to record the answer, the fastest finger and the correct answer. And the answer is, it is A, congenital glaucoma. So this singer most would have probably recognized is Andrea Bocelli. He's an Italian origin, probably one of the finest voices at the global musical level. He suffered from congenital glaucoma, and in fact, the only seeing that he had in a football match at the age of 12 years, he lost that too. So this basically, he lost his vision due to congenital glaucoma. So that is the answer A for you. So congratulations to people who have answered it correctly. We will be telling you who won in this particular section at the end of 5 questions. Now this time for question number 2. Corneal deformation created by indentation tonometer is A, simple flattening, B, truncated cone, C is a rectangular flattening, and D is none of the above. So these are basically trying to tell what is the configuration of the flattening, and your time starts now. So be careful, it's an indentation tonometer. Is it a simple flattening, truncation, or is it a rectangular flattening, or you have some other unknown shape that is probably. Time is up. Congrats. And the answer is truncated cone. So Schiot's tonometer is the prototype of indentation type. It has got a smaller surface area. When it indents the small part of the central cornea, there's a truncation of the cornea. In contrast to Goldmann applanation, which is basically a circular flattening, which causes a simple flattening following the Imbert-Fix law. So the answer is the truncated cone. So congrats to all the people who answered it correctly. Now we go to question number 3. I'm not asking you to read these fields. That will take probably the whole day. So 30-2 fields. This is a Humphrey perimetry. Pattern consists of how many test points? A is 78, B is 76, C is 68, and B 54. We can even start counting these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and your time starts now. These are the test points, and you can very quickly count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think who can probably count this will get the answer, but we have only 20 seconds. So how many test points in 30-2? So that is the thing. Your time is running out. Have you counted? Yes. The answer is, I think most would have got it right. It's a very simple question. 76 points. So when you have 76 points in a 30-2, in fact, it drops down to 54 points when you start reducing by 6 degrees itself. So 24-2 basically measures 24 degrees of the central field, whereas 10-2 has more frequent. This is a 6 degree apart point, whereas this is a 2 degree apart. So it has 68 points. So this is the answer for this question. Congratulations to the people who have answered or probably counted the dots very quickly. Question number 4. This is a long question. Be careful. 75-year-old woman present in IOP of 23 in both eyes and anterior segment exam is significant for these findings. CD ratio is 0.7. Which of the following is likely to be true in this case? So look at the photograph. A is a gray white deposits on the corneal endothelium. B is a poorly dilating pupil. C is chances of zonal dialysis during cataract surgery. So what is likely to be true in this figure is what we are going to ask. And your time starts now. Can you find deposits on the corneal endothelium? Will this pupil not dilate well? Or do you do a cataract surgery to have a zonal dialysis? What is likely to happen in this scenario? That is what exactly you are going to ask. So just look at these 4 options. The time is running out. Yes. The answer, obviously, most would have got it correctly. This is all the above. This is a nightmare for ophthalmologists, pseudoexfoliation syndrome. I mean, it's normally you have the whitish flecks, which is interspersed in our entire anterior segment, especially the fibrillar material. You get it on the back of cornea. You have retroillumination defect. The pupils dilate very poorly. They're rigid and poorly dilating pupils. And obviously, when you're doing a cataract surgery, it takes people like Dr. Partha, Dr. Quresh to do it because the zonules could be pretty weak in this. So congrats to people, everyone who have answered it as all the above. And the last question of this particular section, which concentration of prostaglandin that you use in anti-glaucoma medication in this is incorrect? Is latanoprost 0.005%, travoprost 0.04%, bimetoprost is 0.03%, and D is none of the above. So people are using this. So what is the percentage? This looks like very small, minuscule concentrations that we have used in this anti-glaucoma, what we call as ocular hypotensive lipids. So A, B, C, D, what is the likelihood of this answer being incorrect? So look at the wrong answer. I think with this time up, the answer which is supposed to be incorrect in this is travoprost, 0.04% incorrect, because travoprost is 0.004%, not 0.04%. Whereas latanoprost is exactly 0.005, and bimetoprost has in both 0.01 as well as 0.03%. Both are available, low strength as well as the normal strength. So with this, we have finished the 5 questions. By the time our backend people calculate who is the winner of this particular section and to announce the section, we are ready. Till then, we take this time, our opportunity or one of the privilege to introduce one of the today's invitees, one of the guests of today, Dr. Partha Biswas. It's very customary to read his biodata. Normally people do it, but I would like to keep it very simple and very personal because I have known this man very closely. Partha means Arjuna, the archer warrior, the greatest warrior of Mahabharata, but he's actually similarly a very tall personality in real life too. Probably is the most affable, most friendly, probably the most genial personality I've seen despite his monumental achievements. He's the director of BBI Foundation, Calcutta, the man of many spears, be it clinical acumen, be it his surgical expertise or acumen, or be it in academic achievements, or be it his AOS leadership. Probably he excels in every aspect of these spears. He is, of course, a household name. No need to introduce him. The last 6 years in academic and research committee of AOS, has done a phenomenal job, has taken the bar very high. And presently, he is donning the mantle of the chairman of the scientific committee of All India Ophthalmic Society. And he's striving very hard to realize these big dreams of his. Very unassuming, ever smiling, probably down to earth. He is our own Partha, Dr. Partha Biswas. Partha da, tumke bolo bashi. So we are very happy to have Dr. Partha here today. He is live on this show and he is going to actually present the pearls of today's session. He is going to share his knowledge on cataract surgery on a 3 minutes fantastic video. He is basically from Bengal, known for cinematography and the sheer genius of filmmaking. And his videos are absolutely astounding, most educative, and have won laurels across the world for and taking the India's name to very great heights. So welcome to you, Dr. Partha. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much, KP. Thank you so much. And all of you, I think what you heard from KP just qualifies one statement. The friend that I have in KP came out in those few minutes where he wanted to introduce me. It's a friend and a friend indeed. So with this, I think KP, I think we have our section winner for you to announce, and then maybe we will go on to the pearl of the video.
So we have the thing coming up now. So Sai, do we have the winner?
Yeah, KP,
Prashant?
you stop sharing the screen. First, we'll have Partha's presentation, then we'll
Okay,
declare.
okay, fine. Okay.
Okay. Sai, can you share the presentation, please? So thank you, everybody. And first and foremost, I have to thank my wonderful friend, my dear friend of 20 years, Dr. Prashant Bavankule, for giving me this opportunity to be here today. And we were there at Shankar Nethralaya as our fellowship days at Shankar Nethralaya, and so many things that we did together. And today it's a rare opportunity when he's the quiz master and he has asked me to share a pearl. And he said that keep it basic, absolutely basic, so that everyone can go ahead and take a few points. And when I thought about what pearl should I share, I thought when I was in my early days and graduating from peribulbar anesthesia to topical anesthesia, I had great difficulty, and it was through my mentors, through my supervisors, that I could go on to topical, and topical is the way to go, but step by step. And today I'm going to share a few pearls of this topical anesthesia, and the problems of going on to topical anesthesia is just the confidence of the surgeon, the confidence of the patient, which have to go hand in hand, and thereby go from the peribulbar to topical without any problem during this process of learning. So if we can go to the first slide, please. So this is a video in which we started off with topical anesthesia, and obviously you would see that it is a difficult situation, a subluxated intumescent cataract, which we are doing under topical anesthesia. In this particular patient, what is going to be the trouble? Yes, the rhexis runout is going to be the trouble, and a very, very good cooperation from the patient is important. You did see that I am holding the globe, the eye, with atraumatic forceps at one end. And if the forceps is atraumatic and can be held very gently, it is not difficult for the patient at all. The second thing is placing the CTR in this patient, again, is not so difficult when you have two instruments right in the eye, and thereby stabilizing the eye. The akinesia provided by these two instruments is important, where the peribulbar actually would have done a job, but in topical, it is these two instruments that you have to have within the eye, which do the job of the akinesia. You will not have a total akinesia, but what you will definitely have is minimum movement of the eye. Thereby, you can go ahead with all the delicate maneuvers of a cataract surgery. And especially this one, as you can see that we are doing a little bit of polishing as well of the cortical matter. And remember that the bimanual is inside, and we are able to fixate the eye. And as you can see that I'm placing in viscoelastic inside the eye. When the trouble comes is when you have just one instrument in the eye. Here again, you have the benefit of two instruments in the eye. The intraocular lens, a single piece lens has gone in, and that is it. So peribulbar anesthesia need not be done in a patient with subluxated intumescent cataract. You can do a topical anesthesia, but let us remember it has to go step by step, step by step. So when can you actually come to this step? It is when your previous steps have all gone right. meaning the assessment of a patient when the patient is in your OPD is one of the most important things. There you are able to understand whether this patient is going to be a cooperative patient or whether this patient is going to give trouble. So if a patient under your indirect ophthalmoscopy is able to bear the glare of the light, that is one assessment that yes, this patient might be a good patient for topical anesthesia. But the cooperation and the rapport of the patient during this phase of every step is very important. Now let's go on to the next video. So here we have a uveitic cataract, and a uveitic cataract is obviously a cataract in which inflammation has occurred and reoccurred so many times. So here, can we do topical? Yes, we can. And you could see that we stretched the pupil. And when we stretch the pupil has dilated. We do not have to use devices in this patient. And we can do a good capsulorhexis. It is also a hard cataract. And you can see that I'm going step by step, depth by depth to get a straight chop of this cataract. So that was an incomplete first chop. So I went into the depth and could do a good cataract extraction of this patient. Here, as you can see, under topical anesthesia, I'm placing in the intraocular lens, a single piece lens in the bag under irrigation, which again is possible. But of course, if the patient suddenly moves, then it becomes difficult. Now I'm going to show this step also, which is a very important step. The fibrinous membrane that is there on the pupillary margin, that needs to be taken out. So viscoelastic in the anterior chamber, and with a Utrata or with a side port forceps, microforceps does a job very well. You can remove the membrane and very atraumatically using a side port instrument to provide the counter traction to your traction of removal of this membrane. So it's very important. And as you can see, under topical anesthesia, it can be done. The patient has not felt pain. However, if such a patient does feel pain, is not comfortable, you can always put a topical intracameral anesthetic, Oculan or something, and that of course alleviates the pain immediately. So these are instances where you can go again, as I said, step by step. So if your first steps of a patient whom you have been able to convince that you're not going to give an injection, you're going to do a topical anesthesia, the patient needs to look right into the light. And every time a patient moves away his gaze from the light, you have to coax the patient that do look into the light, sir or madam, and that improves the cooperation of the patient to the surgeon. Yes, what deters us is a lack of confidence for ourselves. At times, we do not have the right confidence to go ahead with the topical anesthesia when we are graduating to topical anesthesia. And this is where a mentor or your supervisor is so important. So I would say that the first 10 to 15 cases of topical anesthesia should be supervised by your mentor. Let's go on to this last little video. And this is a video that I'm sure that all of you would graduate to when you become good at topical anesthesia. And this is a patient of nystagmus. We could not give a block because the physician would not allow. And this patient had to have cataract surgery. It's a soft cataract. And as you can see, I'm putting the rhexis marker. And because of the movement, the rhexis marker has gone a little haywire. And I have not been able to do a good marking. But I'm aware of it. And as you can see that I've placed my side forceps within the side port incision, and I'm getting a good stability despite this nystagmus eye. So you can see that this is definitely possible. Again, making the main port is possible. It's a soft cataract, and I'm able to get a straight chop in this soft cataract. Removal of this soft cataract is not so difficult if a direct chop has been done. And as you can see that we have the side port instrument all the time inside, and I'm holding on. And as long as we have two instruments in the eye, it's a very, very safe situation, and you can go ahead. Again, placing this intraocular lens under irrigation is what can be done. And despite the movements, we can do off a good topical anesthesia cataract surgery. So as we come to the end of my 3 small clips, and what I wish to tell you as a take-home point is topical anesthesia is important for the comfort of the patient, for the comfort of the surgeon, for def defeating all the problems of a peribulbar anesthesia. Peribulbar anesthesia has its own advantages, but wherever you feel that a topical anesthesia can be done and you are convinced and you are able to do it, please go ahead, but it has to be step by step by step. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Partha. That was a great pearl to share with all of us, and we'll definitely take you as a guiding light in these difficult cataract surgeries. I really wonder, do you really do normal cataracts also?
JP, thank you so much.
Try to solve such a difficult, challenging cataract situation and so effortlessly. Probably have forgotten how to do a normal cataract. Dr. Prashant, you can start.
Yeah, I think we have not announced the section 1 winner. Section
Okay.
1.
I was only testing you, whether you have forgotten the sequence. Okay, everyone is actually waiting to see who is the section 1 winner. The section 1 winner who is going to walk away with the prize of 1,500 is Dr. Pratima Vishwakarma from Nagpur. Dr. Pratima Vishwakarma from Nagpur. Probably Sarakshi Netralaya is also in Nagpur, so probably she had the least time to travel. The radio waves traveled very quickly and probably she had the fastest nimble fingers. So she got the prize. So congratulations to Dr. Pratima Vishwakarma. We will be waiting for you to come live at the end of this session. Congratulations, ma'am. Now over to Dr. Prashant.
Thank you, Dr. KP. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. KP, Dr. Partha, for wonderful Pearl of the Month. And so now I'm back here with section 2. So this is a video from a movie, Bad Mom.
Should be fine, as long as everybody
This
does
beautiful
what they're
actress with beautiful
supposed
eyes.
to.
Can you remember? Do you remember? Can you recollect her name? Yes. Yes, I know everyone must have recollected the name of this beautiful actress. But that is not the question. The question is, this actress underwent an eye surgery for which condition? Option A, congenital glaucoma. Option B, complicated cataract. Option C, congenital cataract. And option D, presenile cataract. And your time starts now. So this beautiful, gorgeous actress underwent eye surgery for which ocular condition? Congenital glaucoma, complicated cataract, congenital cataract, or a presenile cataract. And your time gets over, and the correct answer is complicated cataract. Yes, she's Mila Kunis, a beautiful American actress known for her beautiful eyes. But she had chronic iritis for which she had a complicated cataract following long-standing chronic iritis, and then she had to undergo a cataract extraction. So I hope most of us must have guessed this answer right. So we move now to the next question. The remnant of tunica vasculosa lentis on the posterior aspect of the lens is known as option A, Mittendorf dot, option B, Burgmeister's papilla, option C, posterior polar cataract, and option D, none of the above. And your time starts now. So this is a congenital, what we call embryonic tunica vasculosa lentis, which should close by the time baby is born. So it is Mittendorf dot, remnant on the posterior capsule of the lens, or Burgmeister papilla, or a posterior polar cataract. And the correct answer is option A, that is Mittendorf dot. So we are aware that hallowed artery is present during the gestation and typically regresses completely by the time baby is born. The anterior remnant of a residue, the residual anterior remnant on the posterior capsule is called Mittendorf dot, while on the optic nerve head, it is called Bergmeister papilla. And these are usually benign and innocuous condition warranting no surgery. But yes, if they persist, then the condition they lead to is called persistent fetal vasculature syndrome, which is a pathological condition and which needs a vitrectomy with primary posterior capsulotomy. So now moving to question number 3, that is MCQ number 8. Sushruta performed cataract surgery way back in our country in 800 BC. The technique is called as option A, intracapsular cataract extraction, option B, couching, option C, needling, and option D, none of the above. And your time starts now. So is it ICC, needling, couching, or option D, none of the above? Many of the surgeries were done in our country and it has been described way back in 800 BC where Sushruta performed cataract surgeries. And the answer is couching. So what is couching? Here the opaque lens is dislocated into the vitreous cavity. Way back in 800 BC, Sushruta did it in our country and we should be proud of that. But the only limitation of this procedure was that when the capsular bag leaked, it led to inflammation and rise of IOP. Leave aside the part of aphakia. For the newcomer, people who have been trained after 2000, they might not have seen ICC. What is it? Intracapsular cataract extraction, where the opacified lens along with the capsule is delivered outside the eye. While needling was a procedure which was practiced in older times for pediatric cataract. Now we move to next question, and that is MCQ number 9. One of the following is not true about the image shown here. Option A, seen in Well-Marchesani syndrome. Option B, can cause secondary angle closure glaucoma. Option C, associated with high myopia. Option D, lens is spherical and large in diameter. So your time starts now. So in this particular condition, which of the option is not applicable or is wrong? And the correct answer is option D. So the lens here, we have written option D is lens is spherical and larger in diameter. The question answer is, you should understand this is a case of a microspheropakia, and the word micro means the lens has to be smaller in diameter. It is spherical, but it is smaller in diameter, while the option D gave the option as larger diameter. And because it is microspherophakia, it is associated with Well-Marchesani syndrome, spherical shape leading to high myopia. And because the zonules are weak, there can be anterior dislocation of lens leading to secondary angle closure glaucoma. Now we move to the last question of this section, that is MCQ number 10. Duty cycle of 70% in a phacoemulsification means what? Option A, 70% of the time power is on, while 30% of the time power is off. Option B, 70% of the time irrigation is on, 30% of the time irrigation is off. Option C, 70% of the time power is off, while 30% of the time power is on. And option D, none of the above. So this is about the pulses which are delivered during a phaco. So duty cycle of 70%. So is it related to power, irrigation, and how much is the percentage of the time that delivers the energy or the fluid? And the correct answer is 70% of the time power is on, while 30% of the time power is off. So in a pulsed phaco, phaco energy is being delivered 70% of the time. Irrigation is a wrong answer. Why? Basically because irrigation has to be on all during the throughout the whenever energy is delivered. So it cannot be given in pulses. It has to be a continuous flow while you're delivering a energy. So we are at the end of our section 2, and now we have a small commercial break. I would like to place on record my sincere thanks to these two gentlemen, Mr. Kishore and Mr. Nikhil Masurkar, without whose support, financial support, this mega event would not have been possible. I'm really humbled and I'm really thankful to you, sir, for letting us and realize this dream of getting online brain teasers. A small visual till our technical team is ready with the for the winner of the session. Yes, you have already won our hearts, Entod International, Mr. Masurkar, and we are very proud of you as an Indian brand which is growing so ahead. And the section 2 winner, it's my proud privilege to share the name of Dr. Niranjan Karthik Senthil Kumar from Chennai. Congratulations, Dr. Niranjan. And so over to you, Dr. KP, for section 3. Stop again.
You can stop sharing.
Yeah, I have stopped.
So congrats to Dr. Senthil from Chennai. So now we move on to the section 3. So again, as always, we're going to have a trivia from our Hollywood arena. Just look at this.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, Commander of the Armies of the North, General of the Felix Legions. Look.
The question is probably very simple. Which movie is this? No. This celebrity is suffering from which eye disorder? Ptosis. He's wearing a chashma, so obviously you can't make out. Ectropion, strabismus, blepharospasm. So your time starts now. You need to tell this guy is supposed to be one of the most identified actor, and from that phenomenal movie which we all actually have seen. Is he suffering from ptosis, ectropion, strabismus, or blepharospasm? So we'll wait for him to take out his aviators. Your time is up now. The answer is strabismus. So I'll just show you. He's basically Russell Crowe, very well-known man, very famous actor from the Gladiator, obviously. You can look at his exotropia here, the right divergent squint. So it's a case of known case of IDS, a celebrity intermittent divergent squint case. So congratulations to all the people who also know the problems of our great actors. Now over to question number 12, MCQ 12. Which one of the following concerning congenital obstruction of nasolacrimal duct system is false? A is defect is at the level of valve of Hasner. B is acute dacrocystitis is uncommon. C is the defect is in the intraosseous part of the nasolacrimal duct. The fourth is the common symptoms include epiphora and mucus discharge. So your time starts now. You need to tell what is false about these four statements. Which one is false? Is it at the valve of Hasner? Is it the intraosseous part? Is acute dacrocystitis uncommon in children? And epiphora and mucus discharge, are they common or not? So your time is up. So the answer is supposed to be wrong in this 4 is the defect in the intraosseous portion of the NLD. So as you all know, dacrocele or the congenital NLD obstruction, which causes stasis and infection. Normally the obstruction in the inferior part of the NLD, that is the valve of Hasner, and not at the bony part. And normally you do a probing, normally around 9 months to later, but sometimes you do it early in case of a bilateral situation, a severe situation, or a child which has already had an infection like an acute dacryocystitis. But the DCR has to be delayed more than 3 to 4 years because for the bony part to develop. So congratulations to all the people who got this right. So moving to question number 13, which of the following types of congenital cataract rarely require a systemic workup or a laboratory evaluation? The A is bilateral cataracts with no family history, B, monocular cataracts with no family history, cataract associated with retinal pigment epithelial disorders, and D is anterior lenticonus. So you need to tell us which condition normally you do not do a workup. Is it bilateral cataracts, monocular cataracts, cataracts with retinal problems, and anterior lenticonus? So normally we do workup in most cases, but in some cases we don't do it. So which is that where we don't do the workup? I think with this, we move to the answer. The answer for this is the monocular cataracts. So normally, binocular cataracts are usually because of a systemic problem, a maternal infection, maybe a chromosome abnormality, maybe a metabolic disorder. Normally, it calls for a laboratory workup and some genetic workup. Anterior lenticonus is obviously a part of the Lowe syndrome. Obviously, you need to look at the systemic abnormalities associated. And pigmented retinopathy, most commonly with maternal infections like torch infections, you need to look at the retina definitely for saltpeter appearance. And a monocular cataract without any family history, obviously you don't really need to do any workup at all. So congrats to people who got this right. So obviously these are the tests that you do it. You have to do a torch, you need to do a urine for albumin, you need to do glucose intolerance after a milk feed, you need to get the cardiac evaluation, especially if you're looking for rubella syndrome and things like that. Genetic testing obviously goes without saying. So with this, we move to the question number 14. Which of the following findings is not associated with Leber's congenital amaurosis? A, oculodigital sign, B, keratoconus, C is high myopia, D, sensory neural deafness. So the time is starting now. Oculodigital, where the child rubs the eye repeatedly. B, is it the keratoconus, a corneal condition? Is it a high myopia with amaurosis, or is it a sensory neural deafness you actually find in the child? So which is not associated? That is the question. In time up, we go to the answer. The answer is high myopia. Normally, these two are typically hyperopic. You can see the child vigorously rubs the eye to stimulate this neurosensory retina, which also leads to keratoconus changes in the eye. And most children by 10% have some sensory neural deafness, and it's an autosomal recessive condition where the child goes into irreversible blindness very soon in life. So with this, we move to the question number 15. Now I can see some of the eyes already away. So this is a very simple question. Don't worry, this is a 9-gaze photograph. A 65-year-old lady presenting with an acute onset diplopia. What is the site of the lesion? So look at the primary gaze, look at the versions. You can dextro and levo version, the up gazes. So is it the right medial longitudinal fasciculus? B is the left MLF. C is the right parapontine reticular formation, or the D is the left PPRF. So you can just look at this. I'll give you a second more. The time starts now. So look at the eye condition. Which movement is restricted in this? So it is very classical that you see a restriction in one eye, very typical of this particular condition. Very obvious here. And now the answer is left medial longitudinal fasciculus. Requires some explanation. Normally, you have an isolated adduction restriction in these 9 photographs. The rest of the movements are all normal. Normally, an isolated MR weakness, medial rectus weakness, goes in favor of internuclear ophthalmoplegia. The medial longitudinal fasciculus is an interneuron connecting the medial rectus subnucleus of the third nerve to the lateral rectus nucleus on the contralateral side. So if there's a lesion on the side of left side, it corresponds to MR subnucleus. Normally that is the convention. And in this case, you have a adduction deficiency of the, you also have, if you have a video, you can see it when the other eye abducts, you will have a nystagmus. So it's a typical, whereas the PPRF basically controls the horizontal gaze, the ipsilateral horizontal gaze palsy will happen if there's a PPRF involvement. So with this, we have finished the 5 questions of this section, and by the team, by then that compiles the winner for this. I have a great privilege in introducing our guest, one of the finest personalities of AOS, who is with us on live on this webinar, Dr. Quresh Muscati, the man from the Hall of Fame of All India Ophthalmical Society, one of the greatest personalities in Indian ophthalmology. The man, I think he has of course, a great achiever. He will have a long biodata, I presume that. So let me probably tell you the simple, definition of Dr. Quresh Muscati, what I understand it as. Probably he's a man who lives in the present, enjoys the moment, and probably his zest for life is absolutely exemplary and worth emulating. That is what I have learned from Dr. Quresh. He's a very potent mix of fun and frolic. At the time, he's pretty serious with the serious issues. He has got the pragmatic leadership, probably has taken him to different heights, a brilliant academic career, and always puts everybody at ease. Wherever whether it's an academic meeting or an AOS meeting, he makes everybody feel at home. His love for ophthalmology is in his genes. You know why. And he wears this leadership on his sleeve always. He's a man, hails from the city of Mumbai, known for locals, but he has gone global. That's what I would like to say. A man who's got he's one of the authority on cornea and external surface, and probably he has done the maximum number of keratoprosthesis, both Pintucci as well as Boston. He's an authority on keratoprosthesis. The man is very articulate, excellent clarity of thoughts and clarity of speech, and he has won the mantle of the leadership at Mumbai, BOA, Maharashtra, MOS, and also he has been the president of All India Ophthalmic Society and taken the All India Ophthalmic Society to greater heights. And probably he's one of the man most well known for his wit, humor. Women are known for their sense of humor, and Dr. Quresh Muscati for his sense of humor interspersed with ophthalmology. Thank you very much for being here. You always made us feel lighter, lively, and please enlighten us with your great, sense of wisdom, interspersed with humor, and how to live life like you. We would like to look forward to. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, KP, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you. Having been a quiz master, this is not me. This is a clone. Can we have me in original? Can we come out of screen share?
KP, Sai.
Yeah. As you can see, that was a different shirt. I have 2 shirts. I wore that for the review and the dress rehearsal, and for the actual. It's a similar shirt, but it's a different shirt. If you want, we can play the previous and this to show you that I do have 2 shirts. I've thoroughly enjoyed Prashant and KP. I've enjoyed your session so far. Having been a quiz master for more than 25 years at the AIS level, and Sai just reminded me how old I was, because he told me before we started that it's been 11 years that we changed the format to the Kaun Banega Crorepati or the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire format in AIOS, which you're following to some extent also now. And I credit Babu with making me shift to this format. Previously, we used to have teams at the All India, and the 5 best teams after elimination or the 4 best teams would compete. And the whole audience would be just silent and trying to whisper the answers to all of them. We moved from that so that now everybody can participate both at the All India level, and I see how wonderfully and seamlessly you've done it at the web-based level, both Prashant and KP. So my congratulations. I've enjoyed the thing and my finger has itched to actually press the buttons. And then I realized I shouldn't be doing this because I would display my ignorance. Here, at least I can say that I didn't even attempt the answers. Otherwise, of course, I would have come first. So here, if I had pressed the finger, honestly, and the problem is that I'm a Rotarian. So we have this 4-way test where we have to be, is it the truth is the first of the 4-way test. So I couldn't have honestly said this. So I kept my finger very much away from the keypad. I have enjoyed, again, to tell you this, and I'm looking forward to the eventual prize winners and their fastest finger. Sometimes in these days of webinars, I'm reminded of a story where there was a fruit seller who was going downstairs, and a guy from his balcony saw the fruit seller going down in the lockdown period. And he ran down and told the guy, like, you have this freedom of movement. So if you don't mind, you go back to my house. It's on the 6th floor. My wife will allow you in. Just sit in front of the screen and pretend you're enjoying a webinar. I'll just take your fruits around and sell them for you. Don't worry about the cost. I will make up to you whatever loss is. So guy says, hold it, my friend. I'm an orthopedic surgeon from the next building running away from a webinar myself. So in these days where everyone is forced to look at the webinar because the spouse says that, what are you doing wasting your time at home? At least learn something. So they put you in front of the webinar. And really you don't have a choice, because if you don't attend the webinar, you have to clean the vessels at home or something like that. So between the devil and the deep blue sea, people end up listening to webinars out of compulsion. But here I'm sure that the lockdown is just about to get over, at least in Mumbai. And people are actually listening to this unique webinar out of sheer pleasure. Actually, sheer pleasure reminds me of another story. There was this guy who was a family physician at the edge of a forest area, very devoted family physician. But at one point he thought that enough of this, I should now go and have at least a one-day holiday to myself. So he appointed a locum for that one day. And he says, I'm going out hunting in the forest, and I'll come back tomorrow and take over. But for one day, just manage my practice. And the locum said, sure, I mean, there's no problem. So the next day, the doctor went up to him and says, how did it go? He says, doc, there was absolutely no problem. You see, the first patient came in complaining of a severe headache, and I gave the patient paracetamol tablets. And the evening, the patient came back and said he was much better. So it worked. So very good, very good. He says, yes. Any other? He says, yes, there was a patient complaining of difficulty in passing stools, and I gave him some laxatives, and he came back in the evening and he said he was able to pass the stool and he was feeling much better. He says, very good, you've done so well. He says, any other patient? He says, yeah, one very strange case came in, but I solved that also. This is what happened. He says, one lady with hardly any clothes on, torn and tattered and hardly any clothes, came running in and says, I was lost in the jungle, in the forest for 5 years, and I haven't ever seen a man. And she ripped off all her clothes, whatever existing was there, and lay down on the examination table. And he says, then what did you do? And he says, well, simple. I put lubricant eye drops in her eyes. So this is the problem why we don't allow family physicians to dabble in ophthalmology. This is best left to ophthalmologists, because we know exactly which lubricant to apply where, which parts of the body, for which reasons, is all known to us, because we do MBBS first and then the ophthalmology. Not wanting to come between you and the rest of the show, we'll move on to the next episodes, and I'll see you a little later. Thank you, Prashant and KP.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You've always been at your best, and that is Dr. Quresh for you. I think we should have a webinar exclusively of this one time. Okay, like people putting eye drops in wrong places. And you only comment about your shirt, that you are wearing the same shirt, but not about your pants. Webinars don't need to just need a dressing up to a certain level. That's right.
Absolutely. So I have one pant, but I have more than one shirt, because I come on several webinars and one has to look decent. So shirts are of different patterns, and most of them are plains, but the pant remains the same.
And has to be there, not necessary.
No, I have my granddaughter playing at the back in the room, so the tent has to be there.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Now it's time to announce the winner of the third section. That is Dr. Kshitij Raizada from Lucknow. So congratulations to Dr. Kshitij Raizada for winning the third section from Lucknow. And congratulations once again. Be ready to come on live at the end of the session. Over to Dr. Prashant for the section 4.
Thank you, Dr. KP and Dr. Kuresh, sir. As usual, you have broken the monotony of just firing the questions and checking people's knowledge, and you have made them laugh. Thank you once again for making them laugh. So coming to our section 4. So section 4 has again 5 questions, and as you can see, just a small, this is a song, Place in the Sun, a beautiful song. Do you remember who sang this song? You remember? Yes, most of you must have recognized this face. This celebrity suffered from an unfortunate ophthalmic disorder. Option A, retinitis pigmentosa. Option B, chronic uveitis. Option C, retinoblastoma. And option D, retinopathy of prematurity. And your time starts now. Yes, he's Steve Wonder, and he suffered from retinopathy of prematurity, which is in today's world definitely a preventable disease. He's a famous American singer, songwriter, and he had to be blind because of a preventable condition. And so is the importance of knowing all babies who are born premature, especially if they are weighing less than 1.5 kg or a gestational age of less than 32 weeks, or if they have an unstable life course during their NICU stay, need to get their eyes checked with an indirect ophthalmoscope by a retina specialist. And if you can do that, we can definitely avoid a preventable blindness of this kind.
Dr. Prashant, tell them when to refer the patient.
Yeah, the first screening is usually done at 3 weeks, around 3 weeks after the birth of a baby, in these eyes which are more prone for developing ROP. Is it okay? Thank you.
Is it not at birth or 3 weeks later you have to wait?
It is 3 weeks after the birth.
Immediately after birth.
Yeah, yes. So now coming to the next question. Which of the following statements regarding the condition shown in this color photograph is true? Option A, condition is typically bilateral. Option B, patient with these conditions generally have a good visual prognosis. Option C, no visual defects seen. Option D, generally condition is not chronic. And your time starts now. So this is it. Which condition most importantly, and then you can answer this. Which of them can be excluded? So the answer is option A, that is condition is typically bilateral, which is correct of the all statements. So this is a case of serpiginous chorioretinopathy, which is a bilateral chronic and recurrent condition. And it starts from the optic nerve head peripapillary region and involves macula and spreads peripherally. And it is associated with poor visual prognosis because macula gets involved quite early. And because of the involvement, you can have scotomas. And the treatment, if initiated early with immunosuppressives, you can salvage the vision in this particular patients. Now, the next question is, what is the most likely diagnosis for the lesion shown in this color photograph? Option A, racemose aneurysm. Option B, isolated choroidal hemangioma. Option C, retinal cavernous hemangioma. Option D, retinal angioma. And your time starts. Yes, can you see a tumor like circular tumor with a feeder vessels. I have given you a clue. Racemous aneurysm, cavernous hemangioma, retinal angioma, or a choroidal hemangioma. Which one are you? And the correct answer is retinal angioma. So this is how it looks. 4 conditions which we have shown. A racemous aneurysm, as you can see, it's a dilated tortuous retinal vessel extending right from optic nerve head towards the periphery. While a hemangioma, cavernous hemangioma, as you can see, it's a bunch of grape appearance. While in these cases, you have a circular spherical thing. While choroidal hemangiomas usually are deeply seated and their margins are indistinct. Importance of a condition like retinal angioma is that they can have simultaneous lesions, similar lesions in the brain and in the kidney, and need to be investigated, just not forgotten. So now moving to the next question. A 7-year-old child presents with a recent onset leukocoria. He is a 7-year-old child. Which is the most likely posterior segment lesion? Option A, choroidal neovascularization. Option B, persistent hyperplastic primary vitreous, that is PHPV. Option C, retinoblastoma. And option D, ocular toxocariasis. So in a 7-year-old child, your time starts now. If you see leukocoria of recent onset, which is the most likely posterior segment lesion? PHPV, retinoblastoma, toxocariasis, or choroidal neovascularization? Yes, and the correct answer is ocular toxocariasis and not retinoblastoma. Why? Basically, because retinoblastoma is unlikely to present at this advanced age, while PHPV, the presentation is at birth, 1 to 2 weeks at the birth, associated with microophthalmos. While ocular toxocariasis, why it happens a bit later? When the kid comes in contact with a pet like dog and cat, they get infection, and the common name of this infection is roundworm. So now the last question of this session. All anatomic features of the fovea contribute to its dark appearance on an angiography, except if you do an angiogram, if you can see this image, it looks black unlike the other white area. Why? Option A, local differences in RP melanin. Option B, local differences in retinal pigmentation. Option C, local differences in retinal vascular system. Or option D, local differences in choroidal melanin. So which things can affect the, sorry. Yeah, your timer has started. I'm sorry, the music has gone shut. So your time is up, and the correct answer is local differences in choroidal melanin. So why do we get a white background in the rest part of the retina? Because you can see the choroidal fluorescence through the RP. If RPs are more taller, they have more pigments, they have more xanthophylls, naturally that is blocked. And that is what precisely happens in the macular region. And so melanin or the pigments in the choroid will not affect the appearance or make the fovea dark in FFA. So this session is over, and so by the time our team is ready with particular computing the winner of this particular session, let me introduce you to the gangs of Brain Teaser. This is my strength. As already shared with you, Brain Teaser was a concept which was initiated and conceived by Sarakshi Nethralaya. With the rising expectations, we have expanded the team beyond us. Now we have a pan-India team, and these people are also great quiz masters from the region and have each like me for quizzing. This big team will now be responsible for conceptualizing, creating, and presenting the future episodes to make it more informative, more entertaining, and more inclusive. Thank you, all these people who are the backbone of this particular team. Yes, and this is the team from Nagpur, Dr. Shilpi, Dr. Richa from my hospital, and Dr. Rinkel Fusate. Our technical team is yet to be ready with the answer. And so just to remind you, the next quiz is going to be on 5th of July, 2020, that is Sunday at 10 a.m. And do you remember the date? Yes, 5th July is a Guru Purnima or a Teacher's Day. So it will be a tribute to our teachers. And also remember, we are just started blooming. So please do write to us. That will help us in growing. So section 4 winner. Are we ready, Shilpi? We need some more time. Till then, I think, Sai, are we ready?
We already posted it, Doctor. It's there on the screen now.
Congratulations, Dr. Sonika Porwal, for being section 4 winner. She's from Velo. Okay, now over to you, KP, for the next section.
You can stop sharing.
Yeah. हाँ, वो अपना वीडियो बंद कर।
So congratulations, Dr. Sonika, for winning the 4th section.
Presentation थोड़े क्यों उनके?
We have section 5 coming up. So this is the last section. People are not ready for these 4. Be ready. And this is a very, very familiar song and a familiar face too. No marks for finding out who this is. Mandy Paddington. Already written there. So this Mandy suffered from which eye disease? Is it corneal ulcer? Is it keratoconus? Is it post-classic complication, or it Fuchs corneal dystrophy? So your time starts now. So this man had a serious problem. Maybe I can tell you. Now he's again seeing this is corneal ulcer, keratoconus, post-classic complication, and Fuchs corneal dystrophy. Again, a very famous singer, actor, album producer. So the answer is keratoconus. Mandy had a bilateral corneal transplant. In fact, one eye was repeated once, and now he enjoys good vision thanks to the ophthalmologist. We were able to give back the vision to such people who are tremendously talented and suffered from blindness, and lack of vision and musical acumen go hand in hand. A lot of people practice music, closing their eyes, or trying to be blind for some time. So the MCQ 22. Which of the following layers of cornea will stain with PAS, periodic acid skiff? Is it A, endothelium, B, Bowman's membrane? Is it epithelial wing cells, D, Descemet's membrane? So your time starts now. So is it the endothelium which stains, or is it the epithelial cells? Is it the Descemet? Is it the Bowman's? So you need to look at and tell, is it A, B, C, D? PAs that we already have learned in our undergraduation and post-graduation. And the correct answer is Descemet's membrane. So normally it highlights the basement membrane. So you can make out the basement membrane of the epithelium, but not the epithelial cells. And the Descemet membrane is very well visualized with the PAS. But obviously we also use this for corneal ulcer to stain the hyphae and the yeast forms. So going to the next question, question number 23. A 60-year-old male presents with an injury to eye with a vegetative matter. The management will include all except, like A is sac syringing, B is scraping or chalcophore white staining. Is it a culture on Lowenstein-Jensen media C? And the D is culture on Sabarod agar. So you have these 4 things. So obviously 3 are correct, 1 is wrong. You need to spot out which one is wrong in this 4. We can see the corneal lesion. He has been injured with a vegetative matter, and this is the situation. And in this case, what would you be doing in this case? Sac syringing, scraping, culture on LJ media, and culture on Sabarods. Time is up, and the answer is we don't do culture on LJ medium. LJ medium is basically for Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So it's a typical presentation of mycotic keratitis or fungal keratitis. Sabarod agar only grows the fungi. But Calcophore white can be used because it bites the sand wall. You can actually make it on the stain. You can do a scraping and do this Calcophore white. Sac syringing is very important because associated dacrocystis, which may be the actual cause to have this infection. And obviously, LJ medium doesn't figure out in this list. So coming to question number 24, the test to identify the corneal wound leak that is exemplified in this photograph. A is Seidl's test, B is Watzke-Allen test, C is phenol red thread test, and dye disappearance test. So your time starts now. Look at the picture. It may look simple, but it may be confusing. Just try to not to get carried away by the picture. Look at it carefully. Is it the A, Seidl's, B, Watzke-Allen, C, phenol red, D is dye disappearance? Time up. The time has also disappeared. Now, obviously, this is the very simplest of the tests that we do, and very important in some situations, the Seidl's test, because when you have an aqueous leaking through a full thickness corneal wound or a conjunctival breach, okay, you have normally the fluorescein gets diluted, and the rapidity of dilution determines the size of leak. And dye disappearance basically for the lacrimal passage analysis using the 2% fluorescein. And cotton red thread, phenol red thread test is basically for the function of tear secretion. And of course, Watzke-Allen is something way beyond. It's in the retinoid for macular holes. It's a test on the slit lamp. So the last MCQ on ophthalmology in this particular section, as well as this particular whole session, is a 50-year-old girl comes with diminution of vision in one eye only, and the examination vision is 618, intraocular pressure is 15 millimeters of mercury, retina is normal. And this is the clinical picture that you see on the anterior segment. What is the probable cause? A, keratoconus, B is congenital glaucoma, C is forceps delivery, and D is posterior polymorphous dystrophy. So with this, you should look at this condition, look at the picture carefully. Is it keratoconus? Is it glaucoma? Is it a forceps injury? Is it a PPD? Look at the vision, look at the IOP, look at the retina, look at the age, and the answer should be pretty simple. So as you have guessed, the answer is forceps delivery. Obviously, the kind of the configuration and the direction of these decimate tears make a difference. Keratoconus, they are basically vertical lines, whereas in congenital glaucoma, the normally horizontal decimate tears are more common. In PPD, you normally have those aggregates of vesicles at the level of the decimate membrane. And these oblique decimate tears, obviously with intraocular pressure being normal and vision not grossly affected, so this probably is possibly a possibility of a. So with this, we finished the 25 ophthalmology questions. Now, by the time our team gets ready with the winner of this particular section and the overall Maharaja and Maharani of this whole session, the overall winners of the whole session, who are actually, have the winners of this whole event today. So we have this condition. Concentrate on the lyrics. Obviously, तेरी आंखों के बिना दुनिया में ऑफ्थल्मोलॉजिस्ट को रखा क्या है? Without eyes, we are totally out of business. So that probably goes without saying. That should be the anthem of all the ophthalmologists all over the world. But this song continues into the next part of the lyrics, and which eye condition you suspect with the lyrics of this melodious song? Is it blepharospasm? Is it lid retraction? Is it chronic progressive external ophthalmoplegia? Is it myasthenia gravis? So the answer, you don't have any timer for this. The answer is myasthenia gravis. Ye ute subah chale, ye juke sham dale. So obviously in myasthenia, you have the ptosis least or almost absent in the morning hours when the patient has had a good sleep. And by evening, because of the fatigability of the levator, the ptosis starts appearing. So by the evening, normally the eye becomes ptotic, which probably has been exemplified in this particular song. So hats off to the lyrics. Without knowing the importance of myasthenia gravis, this has been probably penned some time back, and this still continues to be our favorite song. So look at this. So we are not going to show you a song, but we are going to show you a picture and you have to come up with a song. Which Bollywood song aptly describes this clinical finding on the slit lamp? Look at the eye. So there are 4 songs that we have actually at your disposal. You have to choose one song which will describe this condition. Tere mast mast do nain. The second one is Naino mein sapna, sapno mein sajna. The third one is Juki Juki si nazar. The fourth one is Dekha hai pehli baar साजन की आंखों में प्यार. So A, B, C, D. तेरी मस्त मस्त दो नैन, नैनों में सपना, सपनों में सजना. The third one is जुकी जुकी सी नजर, and fourth is देखा है पहली बार. Well, you must have guessed it right. So obviously, the man is so romantic that he has a heart sign even in his at the level of the iris. Okay, and now we have the section 5 winner. So the section 5 winner is Dr. Uday Tekchandani from Chandigarh. So congratulations to Dr. Uday Tekchandani from Chandigarh, who is the section 5 winner. Now over to Prashant for the rest of the felicitations and the announcements.
Yeah. Yeah, screen share. Yes, sir. So the section 5 winner. Now I request all the winners to log into and get into the Zoom platform so that we can have a look at you and appreciate you, and you will be joining us for the felicitation program. Session winner, we are just waiting for the team, our team back-end team to come out with session winners. Sai, are we ready?
Till then, Dr. Partha and Dr. Kuresh, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. Partha, Dr. Partha, Dr. Kuresh sir, can we have some comments for the youngsters who are watching this show?
Question to Dr. Kuresh.
Yes.
He has been senior most quiz master, and he has lost some hair also because the last 20 years be conducting the quiz and solving the controversies. How do you do some really hardcore quiz enthusiasts, who probably say that their answer is correct? And if there is some controversy, they will quote some unknown magazine or a journal or some textbook. So what will you do in such situation, sir?
Usually what happens is for my AIOS quiz, I start preparing about 6 months in advance. And for every question, the reference from which I have drawn the question and the answer is stored with me at backend. So if anyone has a controversy, I tell them you email me and I'll send you the reference. And so far, once I've told them that, nobody's really emailed me also. So once they're convinced that I'm not inventing the questions and the answers, and that I do have a reference backup, then there is no issue. Some of them come out with, it could also be this, it could also be that, but that is always open to interpretation. I'll tell you some interesting stories from my quizzing days, about 25 years now. I had a threatened lawsuit once. I was doing what you're doing. I would show pictures and then ask questions on the pictures. And as the quiz in the early days of the KBC style, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style, the audio visuals were not all that great. and we had multiple TV screens in the audience to show them the visuals. One fellow said that my chair was at such an angle that I could not view the picture as well as the others, and therefore I was prevented from giving answers correctly, and therefore the others were at a more advantage or I was at a disadvantage. So this is a biased quiz, and therefore I'm going to take you to court. So, of course, we samjhawed him and told him there was no intent to do that, and if you had come in early, you could have chosen your seats. But then in discussion with the AIOS people, we decided to scrap the visuals. So for the last 7 years or so, in all my quizzes at AIOS, there are no visuals. It's only a theory based. I would love to show visuals as you're showing now, but because of this fear that one guy put into me of not having seen it clearly or whatever, we stopped showing visuals. This either the section 5 winner is announced or this funny
Yes, sir.
exploding flower stops.
Yeah, sir. The thing is, the section 5 winner is Dr. Uday Tekchandani from
Okay.
Pune, from Chandigarh.
Chandigarh.
And now we also have the session winners. The first runner-up is again Uday Tekchandani from Chandigarh.
Wonderful.
And the real winner today, first winner is Sohini Mandal from Delhi. Congratulations
Wonderful.
to you both. And please do join us on a Zoom link. We are congratulations. So we have Senthil with us right now. Other people, welcome Dr. Senthil.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So glad to be a part of this brain teaser, actually. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
See, people like you, young brains, when they join us, at least at our age, we feel we are enlightened. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
What are you, Dr. Senthil? Can you introduce yourself in 2 lines?
Good morning, sirs, to one and all. I am Dr. Niranjan. I am doing my first year post-graduation in Regional Institute of Ophthalmology in Chennai.
First year.
Yes, sir.
My goodness. We should do your dope test, man. Dr. Quresh, first year PG, the ophthalmology, future of ophthalmology is very bright. What do you think?
No, it is always like that, that the younger the people, the more they read and the more in touch they are. As you get your first few white hairs, your touch with the books is only when you get the journal and before you give it to the pastiwala for earning recycling revenue. So the youngsters are the ones who are usually the ones who come. Even in my quizzes, the winners are usually the youngsters. First, we thought of having an age limit because we thought that the seniors would all win, and we said we should bar the seniors. Then we said just allow everybody, and then people like Dr. Nagpal complained to me that your quiz is only meant for youngsters. We people don't get a chance to win. So, so it evens out, but usually this is the finding. And congratulations to Niranjan. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So we
Thank you
have
so much.
Uday with us now. Hello. Now we have Uday Tekchandani, who was the section 5 winner, as well as the first runner-up. Congratulations, Uday, and welcome to the team.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Uday Tekchandani. I'm working as a senior resident in PGI Chandigarh.
Great. What is your subspecialty now?
Vitreoretina and oculoplasty.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome.
Very happy.
So at least one is not a postgraduate. He's beyond us. Beyond
Okay.
that.
He's a tech Chandani. He's a very tech savvy also. That's why probably he could get answers very quickly through. Right?
So we have some more other people joining us.
So what's your future plan, Dr. Uday?
So future plan will, I've not thought beyond SR shoot for now. Time will tell.
Okay,
Doctor,
but are you planning to come to anterior segment like Dr. Partha, or you want to stay in retina like Dr. Prashant? I mean, okay, Prashant also has come to cataract.
3D cataracts.
Huh?
So don't know, so time will tell, sir.
Oh, then you have been very safe. Yeah, you have been.
No, you are such a intelligent man who could answer all the questions, and you are a first runner-up over here, Uday. And then you will get lost in the race like people like us into the practice. We would expect a people like you who are so tech savvy, so fast in knowledge and good in knowledge to continue in the academics and into the institute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
All the
much.
best. Would love to see such big brains in good colleges as a faculties.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can I say something here? Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to one take-home message to all the youngsters. You really don't have to come out as a super specialist. Being a general ophthalmologist is also a huge benefit. So you can be actually an ophthalmologist rather than a retinologist or a cataractologist or something like that. Because patients don't come to you with diagnosis written on their foreheads. So being a good clinician first, and you could enjoy something or the other. But for example, we had excellent teachers, so we were trained as general ophthalmologists, and I enjoy everything from oculoplasty to cornea to strabismus, and of course do cataracts. But you must enjoy everything that you do, and you don't have to be bound to one. Just like Prashant, he trained as a vitreoretinal, but he enjoys doing a cataract and does a decent job of whatever he does. So don't dabble in things which you are not confident. But if you're confident, do gain expertise in even more than one specialty. No one stops you.
So we have,
also Kshitij and Pratima also.
yeah.
Have they unmuted themselves? Are you there? Can you start your video?
Yeah, yes, sir. Can you see me? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Kshitij?
Good morning, sir. I am Kshitij Raizada. I am currently working as a fellow in vitreoretinal surgeries at Prakash Netra Kendra, Lucknow. Dr. Shobhit Chawla is my mentor. I completed 1 year this month, and I have another year to go before I finish.
How many restaurants have you visited, Kshitij, with Shobhit?
Sir himself treats us to a lot of delicacies on almost weekly basis. We do not need to visit different restaurants.
It was only food for thought. It's actually food. Some honorary fellowship.
It's a the fellowship is a great combination of ophthalmology, culinary skills, and photography skills.
Yeah.
We also have Sonika. Sonika, can you introduce yourself? Yeah.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Sonika. I'm working under glaucoma now in CMC Vellore. I've done my PG from St. John's, Bangalore.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Hi, Sonika.
Hi, sir. How are you, sir? Hi, sir. How can I forget you, sir?
All the young bright minds back in the webinar. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We always saw you when you were young that you're going to make it big, and this is just the beginning. Sonika, all the best.
I'm still young, sir.
No, so say all of us.
welcome, Pratima. Welcome, Pratima. How are you?
Hello, sir. I am fine.
Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I am Pratima. I'm Pratima Vishwakarma. I'm currently doing third year DNB Ophthalmology in LV Prasad Eye Institute, Bhubaneswar.
Okay.
So hope you tell everyone, make a confession that I have not shared any question, though you are my brother. From Nagpur.
Yes, sir has not shared any questions with me.
Okay.
And sir has told me to say this.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Shall we go ahead?
I
with
have
the
one question. I have one question for Niranjan and Uday and Sonika and Pratima and Kshitij. So, how long did you prepare for this quiz, all of you?
We haven't prepared.
You have not prepared. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask the same question to KP and Prashant. How long did you prepare for this quiz?
Yeah, you are making us reveal our age. It takes us more than a month to prepare a quiz, you know?
There you are. Your quiz masters prepare for one whole month for a quiz. Now, I'm going to come to the third question, and a very important one. All of you are coming to AIOS in Kolkata 2021?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Is that a vada?
Yes,
Is that a vada?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
You're frozen.
Frozen. Acha. I think we move ahead with
Wada for the Dada, okay?
KP. We move ahead with
Dada
the
wants a Wada from all of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
So that's it. So
Yeah.
we have
Wonderful.
Dr. Pratima Vishwakarma. I think kudos to Dr. Pratima for the section winner. And we have the other things rolling up.
yeah. Yeah.
So Dr. Niranjan for section winner 2,
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
right? Brigade of Ophthalmologists. We are very secure of your future. It's going to be more enticing and entertaining.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Section 3 winner is Dr. Kshitiz Raizada. Congratulations, Kshitiz.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank
keep
you,
it
sir.
up. Next time we want you to be into the winner section,
Thank
please.
you, sir. Thank you very much.
Congratulations once more.
It's a privilege, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Section 4 winner is Sonika Porwal. Congratulations,
Thank you, sir.
Sonika, once more. And
Thank you,
we are
thank you,
proud
sir.
of you. And so in following quizzes, we want to see you going away with an Amazon gift card of a winner and or a first runner-up. This is an
Thank you, sir.
expectation.
Sure, sir.
Amazon Gold Card.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Now, next. Section 5 winner is Dr. Uday Tekchandani. Yes, Uday, congratulations. And you are
Thank you, sir.
also the
Thank you so
first
much.
runner-up.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I request Dr. Partha Bishwas to make an announcement of first runner-up and congratulate him. Doctor, first runner-up, Sai. Partha. Hello. Dr. Partha, can you quiz and find out if this man is genuine? Hello. भैया कोर्ट मार्शल वाला आदमी है इसलिए प्लीज any message for him?
Sir, Dr. Partha Biswas, Zoom conked off, it seems. He's on a call. He's unable to join.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Quresh, sir.
Quresh, sir.
Yeah. No, Uday, KP tried to make light of your name being Tekchandani. I prefer to look at the middle part of the Tekchandani, and you're reaching for the moon with the chand in the middle of your name. So I wish you all the best as you climb higher and higher.
Thank you so much.
Do reach for the moon only at night because it's not visible during the day. And see you in Calcutta in the audience for the AIOS quiz. Congratulations to them. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The Chan in his name, I am seeing the Adani in his name.
You have to remove the N then. Yeah.
So next, final. So the winner-up.
The grand winner,
Yes.
Sohini Mandal. Sohini, congratulations.
Doctor, she's unable to join on Zoom, so she's watching it.
Okay, fine. So, Sohini, congratulations to you. It's really humble of you to switch off your video and prevent the audience from seeing you in full glory, getting the prize. In spite of you not being visible, we will still make sure that the prize of 7,000, the Amazon gift voucher, reaches you. And happy spending. And as I said to the others, see you all in AIOS in Calcutta, along with the winners of July, August, etc. Thank you.
Actually, when we said we're all attending the conference, Dr. Partha went to start preparations for it.
Yeah, he was planning actually a virtual conference, but then when he saw that so many people are coming, he's decided to have a real physical conference.
Actually, on a serious note, Dr. Quresh,
Yes.
what happens to the conferences in future? What is your idea about the physical conferences? Like state conferences are nearly 25, 30 coming up the end of the year. And what about your actual conference?
I think at least for this year, most state conferences will be virtual. Most of the others will also see the benefits. As long as video quality becomes better and audio quality becomes better, which I'm sure it will on Zoom and other platforms, there is really no need. If the World Ophthalmic Conference, which was in Cape Town at the end of this month, can become virtual, the ESCRS can become virtual. I'm sure we can also become virtual. We just need to upgrade the technology a little bit. And I think the only issue is the major buying which goes on in the trade exhibition.
Exactly.
I'm curious to know how the trade exhibition will fare in these virtual conferences. But we have the WOC and the ESCRS coming up. and we'll learn from there. AIOS, I think, should have one AIOS conference which is non-virtual, because we Indians are those who like to hold, hug, and meet our fellows. More than half the fun of attending an AIOS conference is meeting friends, fellows whom you've studied with in Shankar Nethralaya. I mean, Prashant and who I think studied together. Was it you, KP,
Partha,
or who was it? Partha, yeah. Prashant and Partha studied together. So meeting old fellows and things like that is half the fun of attending the AIOS, which you can't do on a virtual platform. So I think there is place for both, but I'm sure the virtual will grow. And it's a good thing because it's much more cost effective and the trade is not taxed so much. When the trade is not taxed so much, they can give back to you. At the end of the day, the eye surgeon is the winner because you can buy equipment cheaper if the trade doesn't have to shell out lakhs and lakhs of rupees for sponsorships of mega conferences. So time will tell, but I feel there will be a mix, and except for the main AIOS conference, the others will take a back seat and go virtual.
I feel that there was probably a course correction required. We had gone little overdrive on this conferencing.
Absolutely.
Like too many days and too much of pomp and show and too much of spending, too much of trade pressurization.
Exactly.
I think this is a course correction. We will probably meet somewhere in between.
In between, true.
The AIOS conference will be a day long, or it will be on each particular session, each day long. It can run for a week also, no?
Yeah.
One particular day.
Correct.
The idea that we can have it 15 days of conference every day, 3 hours or something like that.
And AIOS is getting very big with almost 15 to 20 halls at the same time. So here, when you have it virtual, you can attend everything that you really want to without missing out on anything.
Exactly.
Okay, Partha is back. So Partha, your question to the first runner-up, you were supposed to quiz him.
The first runner-up?
Yeah, Uday.
Okay.
No, quiz means conference or what?
No,
Uday is not worried. We are getting worried.
Questions for the conference.
Okay. So Uday, the question that I have for you is, who is the immediate past president of AIOS as of today?
Dr.
Retina guy, Uday. Come on, clue for you.
He said his answer.
Yes.
He answered correctly.
Correct.
Okay.
बच गया.
So, sir, any word of wisdom for this young brain? Partha, one sentence, 1 or 2 sentences, and same here, Muscati sir, and then we call it off.
Okay, so obviously before Muscati sir's expert and final comments, one small comment that I have for every one of you is the quiz is a platform in which it's not only sharpening of our brains, it's not only brain teaser, it's something also related to our hearts. It's something of fun, frolic, a mixture of learning along with a lot of science. So this is wonderful platform to actually learn. The next thing that I would like to tell you is how hard our quiz masters actually bring it to this level. It's a culmination of months and months of thought, of designing, of understanding, and everything that goes on to make a quiz successful. And as I was cut off by Zoom, but what I meant to say that the AIOS quiz is something of a great value, because the quiz masters take all the efforts and prepare for nearly 10 months. And when you have a quiz master like Dr. Quresh Muscati, who puts in so much of his passion into a quiz, you as the quizzers, you should be as passionate. And I'm sure all of you are people like you who make everything worthwhile for all of us, for us to enjoy and to feel delighted that you are going to be where we are today. and we'll be so happy to take a back seat tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Prashant, I've already said a lot of things before Partha, so I'll let him have the last word for a change, and let's end here, because just Partha, to be fair, before you came in, I thought I was going to have the last word, so I said everything which I wanted to say. So I don't want to. I'd like the Chairman Scientific Committee to end this session. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you here. Sai, lastly.
Thank you all.
So congratulations, one and all winner. At the last, I would like to thank each one of the participants who played it, who could make it to the today's Zoom platform as a winner. And I'm sure if you keep on participating, next time you will be live on this platform. Once more, thanks to Dr. Partha Biswas, Dr. Quresh Maskati, and my friend, Dr. KP, for letting us organize and being a part of this first episode of Brain Teasers Season 2. And just as a last reminder, next quiz is going to be on 5th July. That is Sunday. That is a Guru Purnima day or a Teacher's Day. Do spread a word across to your other colleagues so that we have a bigger participation, we have big winners and more competition. More the competition, more the spice it will add to our show. Thank you once more. Thank you one and all.